Hello everyone. I can see that there's already some people coming in. Welcome to this webinar from Linköping University. Today we will be talking about one of our master programs, the master program in Experimental and Medical Biosciences. So my name is Rebecca. I will be your moderator for today. I'm actually also a student at Linköping University, but I'm doing a different program. So for today I will just be helping out and guiding the conversation. Just a small heads up, we will have a questions section at the end of the webinar. So you can use the Q&A function in the webinar. So there's a small section for Q&A. Please write your questions there and not in the chat. But feel free to use the chat to get to know each other or introduce yourselves or for whatever you'd like. But make sure to ask your questions in the Q&A. All right, so I've introduced myself, but I have two people here with me. I have the program coordinator.
That's right. My name is Jordi Altimiras. I'm a professor of physiology at this university, and I'm also the program director of this international master's program in Experimental and Medical Biosciences. So hopefully my presence here today will help you understand how this program is built up and what is it that we are doing in it.
And then we also have Linnea.
Yeah, my name is Linnea and I'm a second year student at this master program.
All right, so just a small reminder, please ask your questions in the Q&A. And I will also add that this webinar is recorded, so it will be available on our website, and I think you will also get an email. So do not worry if you miss any part of it, you will get the recording. So let's jump into it. We're here to talk about this master program, so could you give us a small overview?
Absolutely. This is an international program in biomedicine. The idea of this program, we have built the program to make a flexible program in which the students decide their own way. You decide the way that you want to continue the program, and for that you put together your individual study plan together with a mentor. So at the moment that you arrived at start the program, you will be assigned a mentor, and this mentor will follow the students during the 2 years. Help them out make decisions, help them out with their research projects, and also in choosing between the different courses that you have on offer. It's not a fixed program, you don't have to choose a specific amount of courses, but it's from the offer that there is, you make the decision and the mentor will help you out. As the name implies, this is an experimental master program, so it's heavy in experimental work, meaning that in all the courses that you can take, you will have quite a bit of laboratory work, and then I would say that 50% of the program, 60 credits in the program are dedicated to research projects. So it's built on these two big projects, 30 credits each, in which you find your own research group and then you conduct the study in that research group for approximately a period of about 6 months, or about 4 to 5 months, what's equivalent to 30 credits. That would be my program in a nutshell description.
Yeah, and now you're in your last year, is that correct?
Yeah.
What made you choose your program? Like, what made you choose this program specifically, and what was your background before coming here?
Yeah. So since I was in high school, I began to be more interested in biology and kind of how things work in the body and like how they are connected. So that's why I chose to do a bachelor in biology that I did also here at the Linköping University. So then I did the bachelor, and in the bachelor you can kind of choose between which kind of directions in biology you want to go if you take a master after, and also in the bachelor itself. So I was kind of going back and forwards between more ecology subjects and also these biomedicine subjects. And then when it was time for me to choose the master, I looked, like we had presentations where different teachers, you among them, talked about the different master programs and what they were like and what they were offering. And then I just, when I was applying, I found that this master it felt more interesting, and I liked the sound of it. So that's why I applied for it.
That's good. Do you have any idea of what you would like to do after this master's?
Not like a specific idea, but more I am interested in working in this field, so maybe some kind of work in laboratories and that kind of things is what I'm thinking and what's most appropriate for this education. So I think that will be what I do later.
I think it would also be interesting to ask what other kind of career path someone with this master's degree could follow.
That's right. And basically, we do know that classically some of the students in the program will proceed onto a PhD program. The numbers have been changing. Now we are counting at about 30%. One of each 3 students in the program will proceed into a PhD. But then, well, basically the biomedical sector is big. There are a lot of companies, not the big companies, but there are a lot of relatively small companies, biomedical, pharma, life sciences companies that need to recruit. And we know from experience that our alumni basically end up in many of these companies, so they will proceed onto a more industrial or how to say, working for a company. As Linnea said, sometimes doing laboratory work or doing clinical trials or working with evaluating the safety of drug products or medicines or the like.
That's great. So Linnea mentioned that she has a background in biology, but what other kinds of backgrounds would be useful to apply for a master's like this?
We see that there are plenty of bachelor programs in biomedicine, medical sciences, or medical biology, and those are, it would be a natural continuation for these students. But the biology students with an interest in more what we usually call the white biology would also be eligible. We have students from all over the world, students that come from a biotechnology program. We have also students that have taken medical studies, for example. So it's a broad background, but always with an emphasis on, of course, biomedicine, laboratory, medical sciences, and the like. These are the curriculums that fit more naturally in our master program.
And in terms of more like personal characteristics, what kind of student do you think should apply for this master's? Does it take a lot of resilience? Is it a high workload? I don't know. How is the interaction with the mentor?
Linnea.
I can't really speak on the character of the people that should apply, but more on that. Yeah, there is a lot of, like Jordi explained, like you design your own master program, which kind of courses you want to take. So it is a lot of individual work, and to decide individually what is best for you and what suits you more, and which subjects you're more interested in. So I think that is one big part of it, and also this also is, of course, on university level. So you are expected to be very like self-reliant and those kinds of things to really keep yourself accountable for what you're supposed to be doing and those kinds of things. So yeah, I think that's so those kinds of
quite a bit of work, but survivable.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so.
I think, what I would say to all of you that are watching now or that will watch this later in the recorded version is that we are aiming at ambitious students that want to come here, that you want to put the work that it takes to actually succeed in this master program in the 2 years that this master program lasts, and then take all the advantages of the facilities that we can offer for you in terms of not only laboratory spaces that are very modern and state-of-the-art, but also supervisors that will care for your work because your work is part of their research plan or research projects. So what we want to recruit, the kind of profile that I'm expecting is ambitious students that want to come here and then after these 2 years proceed in this field and do a name on your own as a PhD student, as an employee in a medical company or in a biomedical company, because there is a lot to offer. And I think that basically the last pandemic year has shown us how important biomedicine has been and how biomedicine will continue to be important in the future.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
All right, so breaking it down a little bit in terms of, so that we don't speak so abstract, what would a typical week look like in your program?
In my program, so for example, as an example, this week, on Monday I started 2 new courses that are in this part of the semester, and we started with a roll call, of course, and we had some introductions. Then we had lectures, and we also have these problem-based learning sessions, group works, where we discuss cases and things. So we started that, and we also started to have sessions where we were designing the labs that were going to be done in the following weeks with our lab group. So those were kinds of the things that we did this week. And when we talk about times, it was the normal times from basically we start from 8:15 and then going on for a lot of the day. But yeah.
Would you say are there more lectures? I mean, you mentioned that it's quite practical and experimental, but what is the proportion of self-study time, or do you have a lot of group work? Do you need to work a lot with your classmates?
Yeah, we do have a lot of group works, these problem-based learning sessions that I talked about. We have those in almost every course. So you meet in a group and then you discuss a case and you kind of reason about it and find questions that you can answer on your own later. So that is a big part of it. Also, in many courses we have specific group works where we're supposed to write a report together and then compile it into an oral presentation, for example. And when we do lab work, we also have laboratory reports that we usually present as well at a seminar later. So there is quite a lot of collaboration between students and group work as well, but also individual assignments as well.
I just want to point out one of the things that Linnea was saying. When she was saying, well, we are meeting in terms of planning our laboratory work, right?
Yeah.
Well, that may sound a little bit strange to some of you. We might say, well, if I go to a lab, I need to know what I have to do. I need to be given instructions on how to do. Well, that's not exactly how we are thinking about it. Of course, you will get instructions on how to do things. But at the same time, we see that there is a certain degree of freedom on how the lab can be done. And that's why quite a few of the laboratory exercises will involve some pre-planning. So you and your classmates will have to actually discuss what is it that we want to do? What is it that we are going to do? Why do we want to do it that way? And that brings in a little bit of a learning experience that is outside of what would be the recipe cookbook in go to the lab and follow step 1, 2, and 3. At the end, you will have to have thought about it beforehand, and then you will carry it out. And this is a little bit more of a way of active learning, other than perhaps the more classical in which everything is based on lectures and laboratories that they are all decided for you.
Yeah. Yeah, so in this lab, for example, we of course had certain guidelines and what we were supposed to be doing, but we had a bit of a freedom to decide our hypothesis, what we were wanting to look at and how we wanted to look at it, and we could choose between different, when we were using a medicine, we could decide concentrations, which concentration we wanted, and if we wanted to combine different things to look at different things, basically. So that was the point of this exercise.
We want to think that, if you're going to be a PhD student, if you're going to be a project leader in a pharmaceutical company, these are the kind of work that you will have to do. You will have to make decisions, you will have to think about what you're doing. It's not that you are going to be given a recipe to follow. In a master's program, we are expecting more than that. You are not a laboratory technician. You have to be able to go beyond that.
Yeah, and more focus on understanding and kind of reasoning behind it.
Precisely.
All right, I think that's very interesting. So do you already know what you're going to do your thesis in?
Yeah, so, excuse me. So last spring I actually did my first project. So we talked about before that you can do 2 projects. And I did my first project in a specific lab group, and they said that they would gladly have me back again for my second project. So I will be doing my lab work there for my second project. So the next from January until June, I will be doing that, and that's in nucleic acids technology lab here at Linköping.
All right, something very, very biochemistry.
Yes, exactly.
So if we can focus maybe a little bit on student life. So I know that you are from Sweden, so
Yeah.
you didn't have the whole process of moving to Sweden.
No.
But is there anything that made you choose Linköping University specifically?
Specifically, since I've always lived in Norrköping, which is very close to Linköping, and there's also campuses in Norrköping, one campus. So I've always kind of had a good idea about Linköping University, since it's been present in my life, in my city, like from the beginning. So I've always had a good feeling about it, if you know what I mean. So I just felt like it was a good opportunity, and I had heard nice things about it. So that's kind of why I chose it. I know that many people might want to choose specific cities in Sweden if they are Swedish, because of that they know about the student life and these things as well. And Linköping is a student city, so these things can also be taken into account for those people.
Yeah. And your program is in Campus Valla, right?
Yes.
So do you commute every day when you have to go to class?
Oh no, actually, sorry. My program is actually on Campus US, the University Hospital. So my program is there, but I'm doing my project at the other campus, the Campus Valla. But yeah, so I commute from Norrköping to Linköping here to the campus, the University Hospital campus, and. Personally, I own a car, which makes it a little bit easier and more flexible. But also, if you don't have a car, you can easily travel between Norrköping, the campus in Norrköping, the 2 campuses in Linköping as well. There's a bus that is actually free that goes between all the campuses. So several days a week I can take the bus and just go easily between all the campuses, and makes it easy for me to travel, basically.
Maybe we can explain for the audience that essentially the university has 4 campuses, but 3 are the ones that we count.
Yes, exactly.
2 in the city of Linköping and 1 in the city of Norrköping. The city of Norrköping is 50 kilometers away from Linköping. And the 2 campuses in Linköping, one is in the medical hospital, is the Faculty of Medicine, and the other is the technical faculty. There's about 20-minute walk between them. There's also buses that go between them. As Linnea was saying, most of the program actually happens at the university hospital, but many research groups are located also at the technical faculty. So students do projects either at the technical faculty or at the medical faculty, depending on what the group is about. And there are even students that do projects in both campuses, because the research groups are actually working both campuses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Would you say that it was any more difficult to make friends within your program or something like that because you live further away, or?
Not really in that department. It was more during the beginning of the program, especially in my bachelor, because when I started in the beginning of the master, I wasn't really involved in the activities in the beginning because of the COVID situation and those things. But when I started my bachelor here at this university, it was a little bit tricky for me, since I had a longer way to travel, and most of the other people, they were living here in student accommodations and those things. But I don't really think that it was a big hindrance for me, actually. if you feel like you want to be involved more, then there's plenty of options for you to stay and actually be able to partake in things, but still make it home if you live in another city like me in Norrköping. So there's, I think that there's plenty of options to make it work if you want to.
Yeah, and I think there's also a lot of student associations that have branches in the Norrköping campus as well. I think they do some activities there.
Yeah, I think that it's mostly if your program is based in Norrköping, then the more student activities are based in Norrköping as well. But I think that the mostly when the programs are in Linköping here, the student associations and these kinds of things are more based here. That's what I have found anyway, because I know other people from Norrköping and they mostly hang around there.
Okay.
On that campus.
But have you been able to interact with the people from your masters quite well?
Yes, definitely. And some of the people in my master I already knew from other programs on the other campus in Linköping. So I already knew them because I had already seen them in other courses that we read together with different programs, and a few people from my bachelor as well that are in my class now as well. So I knew quite a lot of people, their faces, but there were also many international students. And like I said, in the beginning of the education, there's some activities that are planned and such for everyone to get to know each other. And yeah, I got the feeling that it was very easy to get to know each other and yeah, learn about these people and who they are.
One thing that we see in general is that we get many international students that come from different countries. And of course, in the beginning, it might feel a little bit lonely, but I mean, because there is so much group work, there is so many group activities, we usually see quite a good environment, and basically that, you know, relationships are created just because people have the same interest, are studying the same thing, live relatively close together. Linköping is not a big city. We're talking about 170,000 people, but at least the city center is relatively concentrated, and most of the students actually live not far away from the city center. So I think that just helps in actually having a student life outside of the study time. During the study time also.
Yeah, definitely. And even though, like we said, the program is very flexible, so you can kind of decide when you want to take the courses and which ones, you could think that this makes it so that you can be separated from other students, because you might not read the same courses as anyone or these specific people. You might not read the same courses during the whole master. You might be separated. But in my experience, what I felt was that even though in the courses that I'm taking now, for example, my usual group of friends, they're not taking those courses, but it's very easy to find new friends and new people that you can collaborate with, especially now with the group works as well. So I feel like it's relatively easy and pain-free to find new people that you have something in common with, that you can work with and have fun with.
Oh, that's great. And I think I'll add something to that, because I'm an international student, so maybe this is helpful to anyone wondering how to make friends, so to speak. We actually have 2 student organizations that are focused on international students. So we have the ISA, which is the International Student Association, and we also have ESN, which is the Erasmus Student Network. And both of them do activities for both exchange and program students. And they do activities throughout the year, so social things, they go bowling, they go on a hiking trip. So you can sign up for their events. So it's really, even if you struggle a little bit within your program, or if you arrived before your program starts and you don't know what to do with your time, they're always organizing events during the welcome period when the students arrive. So that's definitely something that helps a lot. International students especially, because then you get to meet people from different programs as well. Yeah. And I think that's quite helpful for anyone coming from outside of Sweden. And another thing that I wanted to mention is that We do have an Instagram account, which is called Linköping University. And this Instagram account is actually run by master or program students, not just masters. We do have a bachelor's. So every week it's run by a different ambassador from a program. So yeah, people that are studying these programs, and once admissions comes around and people know that they've been admitted, for the past 2 years we've actually had ambassadors doing a bit of matchmaking. So anyone who signed up, so to speak, would then be matched with other people that got admitted to the same program. And I think that was quite helpful, because that happened for the first time when I got admitted, so over 1.5 years ago. And so I was actually able to message people from my masters that were going to start the masters around the same time. And I was able to exchange messages with them. And I actually knew a few people before I ever came here. And that really helped me not feel as lonely or as isolated, because other people were coming from Spain and Greece, and I knew them. And I think that was really, really helpful. So that's definitely something I would recommend to anyone who's listening at home.
Yeah, I agree. I personally haven't been a part of that since I am not an international student, but I heard from many people.
You can come to their events, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
They are open for Swedish students
as
well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But I have heard from people in my class that they have talked about it and how they met each other, and that they could actually find people that were taking the same program like in the beginning, before it even started. So I heard good things about that. So that's very good that it's working, and nice for everyone.
I did have a question that I forgot to ask previously, because you mentioned that you have a mentor in your program, which is quite unusual, at least from my perspective. I'd never heard about a program having a mentor before. So the student basically has a mentor as soon as they come in. So do they pick the mentor? Does the mentor pick them? How does it work?
No, I mean, it would not work that way. So no, we assign, every student gets a mentor assigned. That's the way we make it work. And then the mentor is usually a scientist that actually teaches at the university, has her own research group, and then gets a certain amount of hours for actually doing this mentor work. And the mentor work is mostly working on at a level of regular meetings with all the students that person. We have, so you may be thinking that we assign mentors from all over the faculty, and that's not the case. We have 5 mentors, so 5 people that work as mentors for the master students, and then they get assigned. So there's usually, each mentor will have between 10 and 12 students. So there are regular meetings with all the students in the mentor group. And then there will be individual meetings with every single student in terms of discussing specific issues or for planning the project. But the mentor is a scientist, is a person that works in academia, teaching and doing research, that knows how this works, and basically tries to facilitate this work for the students in choosing their own study path, and also perhaps facilitating how to think about what kind of project do I want to work with, who can I apply for a project, how should I apply for a project, how do I get in touch with a professor that is doing something that I'm interested in. These kind of questions are what the mentor helps with.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's quite nice. So I have one last question before we go over the Q&A, and it's actually about just any sort of tip that you could give students that are thinking of applying, maybe something that you wish you knew before applying that you only learned after you already started the program?
I can't think of anything now actually from the top of my head, but no, I don't actually have anything specific that I think that I regret that I didn't do or know before. I think that the information that I was given was good, and it represented the program, basically.
All right. So I think...
If I could give them a tip.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
I'd say be proactive. Be proactive in the application, in following things up, in understanding where is it that you are going. That will always helpful. So just don't wait and see. If you have applied for our program, check it out. Go find the information online. Who is doing what? I think that will help you in the long run. So that would be my main tip. Be proactive. Read the material that's available, because there is a lot of information that's available and that will facilitate your life at the time you come. I think that will take you a long way, actually.
Yeah, and this program can be found on our website. I think it's liu.se/masters or something, and then you can search for the program. And I will just add that the application deadline is January 17th, but please do start the application a lot earlier, because one of the things required is a proof that you speak English. So you either need to do a IELTS test or some sort of test that proves that you have a fluent level of English. And if you don't have that at the moment, it does take quite a bit of time to do. So even if you're just thinking of applying, do get that English test, because it will be useful regardless. And it's very important to have that. So the deadline is January 17th, and yeah, keep that in mind.
And if I may add, the deadline is a deadline. There are no deadlines that can be postponed. 17th of January, 17th of January. If you are hours late, days late, your application will be actually put on hold just because you have applied late. So don't apply late. Do your homework and apply on time. This is very important.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's a bit the common theme throughout this webinar as well.
Yeah.
Well, I think you already mentioned most things. Thank you for coming to this webinar, and thank everyone at home for being here. I will just once again mention that we have quite a lot of resources as well. So you can check the course page. There's a lot of information on university admissions as well. So if you have questions about the English requirements, there's a page with the specific country you're from. So there's a lot of information out there. Just make sure to look for it. And obviously, we also have our student ambassadors. So our students that are from different master programs here at the university, they do blogging about what student life is like in Sweden and in Linköping. We have the Instagram page, so it's just linköping.university. And it's every week it's run by a different ambassador, so you get to see life through their eyes. We also have a little podcast. It's called Fika with Us, and it's also about student life, but there's also some interviews about the different programs or how to survive the Swedish winter, or testimonies of people that have come all the way from India. So I would say just look for the resources, because they're definitely there. And yeah, I hope to see you soon.